On the night of May 31st, 2009, Air France Flight 447 took off from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, bound for Paris. The aircraft was a modern Airbus A330, carrying 228 passengers and crew. Families, business travelers, and holidaymakers filled the cabin, expecting nothing more than a routine overnight journey across the Atlantic Ocean. The flight departed just before midnight. For the first few hours, everything appeared normal. Passengers were sleeping, watching movies, or chatting quietly, unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. Outside, the weather was changing. Massive tropical storm clouds were building across the flight path, a common but dangerous challenge for aircraft flying over the equator at night. As the jet entered the storm zone, the pilots began to encounter turbulence. Rain and lightning surrounded the plane. Then, suddenly, critical sensors on the aircraft, known as pitot tubes, began to ice over. These sensors measure airspeed, and when they failed, the autopilot switched off, leaving the crew to take manual control. In the cockpit, confusion quickly set in. The instruments gave conflicting readings. The pilots struggled to understand whether the plane was climbing, descending, or even flying at the correct speed. Within moments, the aircraft began to stall, but in the darkness of the storm, and without reliable instruments, the crew didn't realize what was happening. For the next 4 minutes, the Airbus A330 plunged in and out of aerodynamic stalls. The engines roared, alarms blared, and the cockpit filled with chaos. The aircraft was losing altitude rapidly, but the crew, disoriented and overwhelmed, were unable to recover. At 2:14 a.m., Air France Flight 447 vanished from radar screens. The plane had crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, about 600 miles northeast of Brazil. All 228 people on board lost their lives. The disaster shocked the world. Search teams spent years combing the ocean floor to find the wreckage. Eventually, investigators recovered the flight recorders. The final report revealed a tragic combination of technical failure and human error. Frozen pitot tubes, autopilot disengagement, and pilot confusion in the face of unreliable data. The lessons from Flight 447 have since transformed aviation. Pilots now receive better training on manual flying in high-altitude emergencies, and new safety measures ensure that sensors are more resistant to ice. Air France Flight 447 remains one of the most haunting tragedies in modern aviation. It reminds us how even the most advanced machines can be vulnerable to nature, and how critical every decision is when lives are in the balance. Behind each aviation safety rule today, there are stories written in sacrifice, and this was one of them.